And we're starting. Welcome to Gun Talk Hunt. Gun Talk Hunt this week is brought to you by Springfield Armory and Timney Triggers. Timney Triggers. Yeah, you know a thing or two about Timney Triggers, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So Timney Triggers, I always say it's like the secret sauce. It's like the secret solution to helping you be a better shooter, like where people won't even realize. You swap out your trigger. It's super easy. And people go, you seem to be shooting better. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's secret.
Weird. Yeah. No, I tell people all the time, I would much rather have a okay rifle with a great trigger than a great rifle with an okay trigger.
Yeah.
See? Secret sauce.
I can shoot a okay rifle as well as it can be shot with a good trigger. But if I have a bad trigger in a gun, it's almost impossible to get the accuracy out of it because you don't know when that gun's going to go off consistently.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Breaking
so Timney Triggers, timneytriggers.com. They're made in America.
Did you just guess that?
I just totally guessed
Okay,
it.
all right.
You can hear it in my voice. timneytriggers.com. I don't think it's like .org
No,
or .us.
.ca.
.net. Also, ATN Optics, ATN Thermal, Night Vision.
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Also, you actually found a use for their thermal, the handheld stuff.
Oh, absolutely. You're walking out into a field. This is what I like about ATN, especially their like little OTS LT that they got that's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get sprayed by skunks on my way in, or I don't spook deer. It's not
at
for
5
taking
o'clock
deer.
in the morning. It's dark. You scan with your thermal.
Yeah. It saved me
you're
twice.
You're not jumping deer. You're not jumping skunks.
It saved me twice on skunks. Once I was like, okay, those are some deer for sure. So I had to alter my route into my stand so I didn't bump deer. So it really, it helps. I mean, it's a good, useful tool.
It's thermal is kind of like another magic power you're able to see in the dark.
Yeah.
So check them out at
ATN-corp.com.
Look up ATN Optics on the Googles and you'll find it. All right. That is some pro-level sponsorship messaging.
Yeah.
All right, today on Gun Talk Hunt, we've got a guy who you may not realize is a big hunter, a big shooter, Daniel Horner, Team Sig Sauer. Thanks for being with us, man.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you letting me come hang out.
You're like, why are we having this shooter guy on the hunting thing? Well, number one, Daniel's a hunter. Number two, Sig Sauer has jumped in with both feet into the hunting world.
Because why not?
Because why not?
I mean, because they do everything else really
a
well.
lot of hunts end with shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're good at making, guns and
if you're lucky.
And,
if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky. They
things go as planned.
It ends in a shoot.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So man, welcome on. We, this Gun Talk Hunt podcast, we kind of said, let's do something about hunting because we all like hunting. We're hunters. And one of the things I always like to start is because we're trying to get more people into hunting. And I think there's a lot of people right now who are interested in getting into it, even if they didn't grow up in hunting. How did you start out?
I started out, literally, my earliest memories are going out and hunting.
Really?
Literally, I was in the duck blind at 2 years old with my dad,
Good night.
Oh, yeah. Sitting there looking for ducks. So, yeah. And that's all I've done my whole life. I mean, I tell everybody I work as hard as I can so I can get back to where I can go out in the woods with my dog and a .22 rifle and hunt squirrels. Like that's the pinnacle of life, in my opinion.
It's funny. There are a lot of really super cool, involved hunts. But to me, a lot of times the most fun is, like you said, grab a gun and go walk the woods.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had a hunt where we actually we limited out on deer in Nebraska. And then there were a couple of guys who had not limited out. They're still hunting. So it was me and another guy. And we had like 3 days left on this hunt. So we're like, what do you want to do? Well, what can we do? We asked the guy. He goes, well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in season. If you guys, we'll drop you off and you want to walk around. We walked around with shotguns and we shot rabbit, we shot pheasant, we shot quail.
Wow.
We just walk fence lines and kick stuff up. And it was just the most fun.
Oh, yeah.
And it was simple.
Well, I think that's how most people get started is it's more of a social aspect. Like the whole hunting thing is a social experiment, if you will, because, you find out what you really like to hunt at an early age, and what really works is typically walking around, and that's where you gain most of your woodsmanship.
Sure.
You figure out how to walk and you figure out how to hunt at an early age.
That's a good point. The woodsmanship thing is interesting because if you grow up hunting, you grow up walking around the woods, you maybe take for granted when you take someone out who doesn't have a lot of experience doing that, and it's almost like, dude, why are you slamming the truck door?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
why are you stomping on every stick around here? At least it feels that way.
Oh, yeah.
And you understand like how to spot game. Like you understand like lines of the woods and everything like that. And that's exactly what Danny was telling us just earlier. And I'm like,
Talking
hey,
about
have we
spotting
started this?
Yeah, so let's start over on this story we were in the middle of, and we said we gotta record this. So spotting game, talk about growing up in the woods, you get used to seeing critters.
Yep.
What happened?
So we were out, we were shooting a big 3-gun match up in Idaho, and we were hunting little ground squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
And we're out there, and so like I've been growing up hunting my whole life, and then I went to sniper school and all that stuff in the Army. So when they teach you to talk on, it's always like general to specific, right? So I'd say, all right, first of all, it's that way. Give a big identifying feature that's clear with the naked eye, and then like get from big to small so everybody knows what I'm looking at, right? And so we're sitting there and we're shooting these ground squirrels, and all of a sudden I see this coyote on the edge of this sandy spot, right? The sandy spot's 200 yards away. So I'm like, hey, see the big sandy spot? Like, yeah. I'm like, go to the 2 o'clock edge, coyote on the 2 o'clock edge. And this guy's like, yeah, okay. And he's like, I don't see it. I'm like, okay, I must be screwed up. Like, let me give you better. So I re-talk him on. Finally, I'm like, and I'm sitting there looking at this thing through this crosshairs on my rifle.
optic.
Like I could roll him up right now.
Trying to let this guy get a shot.
I'm like, man, just shoot him. And so this goes on for like 2 minutes. Like me going back and forth. I'm like, dude, he's right there. It's the sandy spot, the big giant sandy spot right there. Yeah, go to the right edge. Follow it around. He's standing there looking at us. Nothing, right? So finally the coyote turns around, goes over the hill. And like, I'm like, how did this happen? And I'm like, what are you seeing, man? Because I'm like, man, it must be me. And so he's like, the sandy spot. Well, a mile and a half behind the 200-yard berm is a mountain. And on top of the mountain is a giant sandy spot. And I'm like, man, 2 o'clock of that is the sky.
Yeah.
Coyotes don't fly yet. So that's obviously not the sandy spot that we're talking about. And we're shooting 223s.
Right.
A mile and a half's a poke for a 16-inch 223.
What's the hold on that?
It's a lot. It's probably about 30 mils.
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to direct you to shoot the coyote a mile and a half away.
Yeah. I was like, he was right there.
I can see him with my naked eye.
Yeah.
Well,
How are you that
funny.
good?
Well, it's also an eye, and how good are your eyes? That's always a factor. I mean, I was saying I've hunted with guys who literally have 20/10 vision, and you're driving at 70 miles an hour, and they go, "Oh wow, look at that deer up there," and you're like, "Where?" And they're like, "Oh, you see that mountain over there?
Yeah.
It's like it's a mile away," and like, "Oh yeah, there's 2 deer over there. One's a pretty good one."
It's
You're
really
going,
funny.
What are you talking about? I don't see it.
Talking about all that stuff in sniper school, you could go down and point out the guys that grew up in the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, they had such a clear advantage. You'd be going out through there because a lot of that's the stalk, a lot of guys get dropped on the stalk. And all the guys that had kind of grown up in the woods and been out hunting and started, getting in the woods at least, somewhat early in life, man, like they would see a hard edge on a truck. I mean, 200 yards before everybody else that didn't grow up in the woods.
And that's what's funny about it is that, like, I mean, you look out here and the trees are vertical. There are really no horizontal lines. And so that should be your first indicator.
Not a lot of horizontal lines in nature. Correct. Unless
but that's
tree
just
fell over. Yeah.
Right. But that's just something you get by being out in the woods growing up and spotting a squirrel's back running across a limb or something like that. That's the only
and not going, he's right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Where?
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple as, turning your head to look at something.
Mm-hmm.
How you do that? Well, where is it? Oh, it's over here. It's over there. It's over there.
Pointing.
Could you please slow down? Not move so much?
Stop.
Well, I probably said it on the podcast before, but like we're joking about camo. And it's like, camo, there's lots of different camo. Camo's good. But you could also just don't move.
Yeah. There's a lot to that.
I mean, you could be wearing, your
red flannel.
Your red flannel, and as long as you don't move, you're probably not going to be seen.
okay.
Yeah.
When you sit there and watch Fred Bear take a 1,000-pound grizzly at like 7 yards,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason why he got that grizzly. And that's one of the more fascinating videos I've ever seen. But he did it by not moving and planning his stalk out. And I mean, I think that's what a lot of guys go into the woods thinking, is they don't plan ahead. They don't look ahead.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that new hunters are not getting at a young age, is they're not getting that patience in the woods.
Get out in the woods, sit there. And if you get out in the woods early, it's kind of one of the coolest times when you're hunting to me, is you get out there before the day is woken up, really. And you disturb the woods. Like you were talking about the thermal, you're kind of trying to sneak in and not disturb the woods. But if you get in there, you sit down, you have disturbed everything for a few minutes. But if you sit down, you be quiet, you be still, and then the woods will come alive around you.
Yeah.
And I mean, literally, you'll have squirrels and birds practically, landing on you, walking across your feet.
Yep.
If you just sit there and you just become part of the woods for a while.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot doing that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Just sitting down. You don't even have to be hunting to do that, which is great.
True.
But
it taught me a lot growing up. It teaches you discipline and precision and respect for everything. And
Yeah.
Now, Daniel, so you're kind of like Sig's kind of brand ambassador for the hunting side. And, everybody probably knows that listens to us and stuff like that I've fallen in love with the Sig Cross Rifle. And you got to actually spend a lot of time in the woods with that this season. And as far as gear goes, really, that's one of the top of the line rifles right now that guys can get a hold of, and it's not that expensive.
Well, there's a trend, right? There's a trend in a new style of rifle. So if people are listening and they're not familiar with it, explain what the Cross is.
So the Cross is kind of the next generation bolt action rifle. It takes some of the good things from the modern sporting rifles and brings them to the bolt action gun, and it takes a lot of the stuff that was learned over the last 20 years in the sniper community and brings a lot of those lessons to the hunter. The bolt action rifle really hasn't changed. I mean, since 1900, it's really very, very similar to the way that it always has been. But in the last 20 years, there's been a lot of adaptions, and guys have started learning, like, hey, it's nice to be able to just put a sling on this thing, or hey, it's nice to be able to clip it into a tripod, or there's a lot of things that are possible now that the bolt action design really hasn't kept up with. So Sig looked at that problem, and we said, hey, if we were going to build a rifle for the hunter, what would it look like? And they brought in hunters. They brought in not professional hunters, but that's how they make their living, is guiding hunting and going out in the woods and actually doing the job. And then they brought in me and one other guy as a competition shooter, and they brought in some of the guys in the building that were former special operations snipers. So you kind of had these three different looks on what a bolt action rifle should be. And they just started drawing stuff up on the whiteboard, right? Like, if a competitive shooter, what's important? A hunter, what's important? Sniper, what's important? And then that kind of developed the direction that this Cross was going to go. So in the end, the hunters wanted lightweight. That was their number one thing, and packability, right? They're tired of carrying a 26-inch barrel with another 14 inches of stock on the back, right through the woods, trying to get caught on every wait a minute vine in the woods. The snipers really wanted the modularity, because they had the old HS Precision stocks. They couldn't put any type of enabling device at all. Like, you had, I remember I had 2 different mounting points to get my bipods on a sniper rifle. Which we're beyond that. It's 2020. So, and then for the competitive shooters, obviously accuracy and a trigger was key. So basically, what this gun did was we put all of those things into a gun that's about 24 and a half inches long with the buttstock folded. Total. Yeah. With the buttstock folded, and it weighs 2 feet. It's tiny. And then it weighs under 6.5 pounds. My rifle that I took to Colorado, I consistently shot under 5 inches at 500 yards. I shot a lot of 3.5 inch groups with that 277 Fury. So it really came together super well. One small thing that I don't think hunters really, it's just they've had to deal with it for so long, they probably don't even notice it, but a 90-degree bolt throw is such a pain when you have a scope mounted, right?
Yeah.
So when you lift it, there's very little clearance between the bolt knob and the scope.
Right.
So you rack the skin off the back of your knuckle every time you try to go fast. Yeah.
Or it'll slow you down, or you'll get caught up, or whatever.
So this has a 60-degree bolt throw, so you're able to grab the whole bolt, rip it to the back, rip it forward, and get your next shot if you need it. But super impressive little
How
rifle.
was hunting Colorado this year?
It was brutal, man.
Really?
It really was. It was where we had to go. And the great thing about that rifle, you'll be able to get that on shelves for $14.99.
Yeah.
So it's really
it's affordable.
It's a super affordable little gun. But we took that little gun up in the mountains of Colorado for 9 days, and we put on some serious miles and some serious elevation gain. And I will tell you this, I did not want that gun weighing another ounce.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You look at that, and this gun isn't, and Ryan brought up a good point before this gun isn't for those Western hunters that are hiking up mountains and stuff like that. No. I mean, it's just as good for guys in the southeast and eastern part of the United States.
Sure, and that's what I was saying, is like, it's a gun that initially you think, oh, you're hiking out west, that'd be great to have. Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about an accurate gun that's lightweight, easy to transport, collapses down to 2 feet, there's nothing wrong with having that.
Exactly.
If you're hunting in the thick woods of Pennsylvania, that's also a plus.
It's also got adjustable comb, adjustable so it's a gun that can grow with adjustable stock in every way. So the gun can grow with the person. So it's the perfect youth gun. It's super light. It's very controllable. Not a lot of recoil, and the gun can be made to fit a smaller frame.
What calibers is it available now?
So we got 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, and the 277 Sig Fury.
So, and the 277 Sig Fury is a new cartridge. Explain it.
All right. So basically, it's a extremely safe way to handle significantly higher pressures.
Right.
So, and I always tell people, so with a 147 grain 9mm, think about the power of 147 grain 9mm, right? And then you think about the power of a 6.5 Creedmoor, right? Not even in the same ballpark, right? The rifle is significantly more powerful.
Right.
The operating pressure of a 9mm is 33,000 psi.
Right.
The operating pressure of a 6.5 Creedmoor is 53,000 psi. All right. So you got 20,000 psi gain. We're shooting 85,000 psi.
Which, if you're not a reloader or into the ballistic side, normally that would not be safe in a regular brass case.
Do not ever do that.
Don't do that.
Word of caution.
Yes.
Just stuff as much powder as you can in there. Get a plunger. Yeah. But you're doing it with technology.
We're doing technology. We're able to use stainless steel to reinforce the weak portions of the case. And it is 100% safe. There's no, I was shocked when I saw the brass that came out of it. I mean, it looks running at 80,000, 85,000 psi, whatever it was. I mean, it literally looked brand new when it came out of the gun.
So what's all this to say? What's this going to do for the hunter?
So this is going to take your 100. So like I said, 9mm, 147 grain bullets going 900 feet a second. 6.5 Creedmoor, 147 grain bullets going 2,800 feet a second. This is going to allow that 147 grain bullet over, we're looking like, I'm guessing you're in the 32s out of a 24-inch barrel.
Okay.
With a 16-inch barrel, it's going 3,000 feet a second.
Well, that's the thing, because part of the cross rifle is the idea of, okay, we're getting this performance, but it doesn't have to be, we want it to be this compact, lightweight package.
Yep.
So you've got an 18-inch barrel version, and do you also have a 16-inch barrel version?
So that was a really cool thing. We were all on a conference call, and we were talking about the length of the barrel for the calibers, and everybody's saying their opinions, and I was like, man, well, what does it do? What does 1 inch of barrel equate to in velocity loss? Because the problem is you can cut the barrel down to nothing, right? The problem is you lose velocity. And we didn't know, but Sig is such a great company. They're like, well, how are we going to find out? I'm like, I'll go buy 2 guns. I'll cut the barrels off of them. We'll figure it out.
Sure.
And so they were like, yeah, go do it. So that day at 2:30, we got off the conference call. The next morning by 10 o'clock, I had already bought 2 rifles with 26-inch barrels, the 3 most popular hunting ammos, and 6.5 Creedmoor and 308. And I'd went out there and chronoed them, cut barrel, all the way from 26 back to 16 inches, compiled the data, sent it up. They looked at it. They're like, all right, well, based off the most common off-the-shelf ammos, we can't go below 18 inches with a 6.5 Creedmoor because there's too much velocity degradation. So those guns it wasn't an arbitrary number. It was set up for the guys to be able to
You
go
tested it, figure out what it does. It's a pet peeve of mine that it's great that we have all this audience online that has a voice and has comments, but there are people who have these strong opinions about things they've never tested.
100%.
Yeah.
And so you go, well,
that's never the case. Come on.
Until you've chopped the barrel off with a quickie saw,
right?
you don't know.
So what did it do? You know, outside of it's great that you did that to figure out where's the sweet spot for the length of the barrel. But in general, for people going, all right, so what do you lose if you cut off an inch? And
oddly, and so you know, how much is it per inch?
Mm-hmm.
It is extremely dependent on the ammo you buy. You could say it's 25 feet a second or 35 feet a second or something, and that's close.
I always heard it was around 25 feet per second.
Yeah,
per inch.
but from 26 to 25, it might be 17, and from 17 to 16, it might be 47.
Right, it might be more.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but it's really weird because, and it's all based off the propellant, right? I mean, 100%. I know somebody's listening to this saying, well, you know, if I could build a 6.5 Creedmoor round that would be optimized for a 16-inch barrel, and you could.
Sure, right.
But most people aren't going to do that. They want to be able to walk into Cabela's, buy some Hornady or some Sig, and go shoot it.
Yep.
Right, correct. Yeah,
So,
you guys are trying to build it for the guy who just buys it, gets ammo, goes and shoots. They're not customizing it.
And it's just really cool at Sig. There's so few companies that would be like, yeah, man,
go do it.
Go spend the money and then just scrap them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
because at that point you just kind of ruined the gun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, at least the barrel.
The funniest part though, when this is all said and done, right? I'm like, so I literally just took a concrete saw, a quickie saw, and chopped the barrels off of them. So when it got down to 16 inches, I'm like, I wonder if these things will still shoot.
Right.
So I went back to 100 yards. The thing shot like an inch and a half.
Really? No kidding.
With just ground the end of the barrel off.
Yeah.
So
no perfect precision crown.
Not even a little bit. Yep.
It's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good.
I laid it across the popper and put my foot on it and chopped it off with a saw.
Well, to that end, modern guns are just so much better than what we had 30 or 40 years ago.
100%. And that's why you can do all this cool stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a long time ago, a pencil barrel 6.5 Creedmoor, you wouldn't be able to get the thing to shoot.
No.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, if you go back and you read gun magazine articles from the 50s and 60s, and they're talking about great gun, shoots great, 2 to 3 inch groups.
Right.
Jeez.
And
well, now
today,
now guy won't touch it.
I'm not even looking at that until it's
MOA.
Absolutely.
Guys aren't going to touch it.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that being said, I have a lot of good bolt guns. I've got like 2 that are actually half minute.
Yeah.
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 The
You got to
elusive
find that
half-minute.
right. You got to find that right combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them. So.
Yep. And that's one thing. Another thing about Sig, we've got guys like when I test a gun for accuracy, it's a 10-shot group.
Yeah.
And it's the average of at least 5 10-shot groups.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's not like there's no gun out there that I can't shoot a 3-shot group under a minute. Can't find one. Because if I continue to shoot long enough, eventually 3 are going to land side by side.
Sure.
That's
Right.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do, you know, and you've got guys like in charge of these rifle programs who, you know, they're extraordinarily experienced snipers at the highest level of the military. You've got guys that, you know, one guy basically started Thompson Center. I mean, so there's none of this like, you know, we're going to shoot a 3-shot group for testing, or we're going to shoot, you know, 100 rounds and call it good. It's,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They shoot a 55-gallon drum of brass a day testing
Jeez.
guns at SIG.
That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah.
So, a question that comes up, and I think it'd be fun to talk about, is AR-15 or modern sporting rifles for hunting. Because people go, well, that's not a hunting gun.
Basically all I use.
That's basically all you use.
Yeah.
I was
That and the cross.
Yeah.
I don't have a cross right now. It's coming.
Oh,
You know, why would you use an MSR for hunting? How does someone go, yeah, okay, I'll use that versus another gun? Or if they haven't thought about it before, they're like, really? That's a hunting gun?
I mean, to me, it's my go-to because they're accurate, they're light, and they do everything I need it to do. Like I don't.
well, and your
I don't wanna
follow-up
make it
shots are going to,
complicated.
that's one thing out of the equation that you don't have to worry about. Running that bolt. You don't have to run that bolt, possibly get off the optic.
And I basically will not carry a rifle without a suppressor. There's nothing that I do for fun that I will ever carry a gun without a suppressor.
Well, especially hunting, honestly. And it's kind of like, I feel like we're a little backwards on this. Like, not as many hunters are using suppressors. Now it's growing, but
They
hunters,
don't want to wait.
and also
Right.
hunters
I don't blame
don't generally wear hearing protection.
Right.
And it's like, dude, but then if you suppress the gun, and I know what you were getting at is, the less recoil and all these other things. Absolutely. Talk about, I love the 300 blackout round you guys brought out. That was just a wild design to say, okay, we're going to make this actually a subsonic round that could be used for hunting,
Right.
that kind of thing.
So basically the concept is that it's a low velocity expander, and that's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So the low velocity, the problem, there's obviously thousands of great bullets out there, and there's thousands of bullets that at 1,800 feet per second and above will kill anything that walks the earth.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when you get down to 800 feet a second, those bullets are, if they were made so that they would expand at that velocity, if you hit something at 3,000 feet a second, it would just blow up on the skin, right? So we would get no penetration, potentially wound the animal. So what we needed to do is we needed a way to allow the projectile to shoot accurately, but deform as soon as it impacts
Still
the target.
open up at lower velocities.
Which is extremely difficult to do, because if you make the whole bullet soft enough to do that, to open up at those low velocities, it won't engage the rifling properly, and it will be extraordinarily inaccurate.
You're shooting Play-Doh out there.
Right, exactly. It's just there's nothing to it.
Yeah.
So what we were able to do is we were able to make the ogive, the part that actually engages the bearing surface, the part that actually engages the rifling. It's hard. It's as hard as a normal bullet, and they anneal the end of every single projectile to soften up just the end of that bullet to allow the end of the bullet to deform like it's supposed to. So you basically get the best of all worlds. It engages the rifling like a normal bullet, but when it hits the target, the polymer tip allows the front portion to expand and create that big frontal area that makes the wound channel.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because in the past, if you just went out and said, I'm going to go buy some subsonic 300 blackout rounds because I shoot with a suppressor and I want it to be quiet, when you shoot a hog or something like that,
it needles through them.
Yeah, it's not really it's not really going to have the effect you want.
Yep. So yeah, these things are pretty cool. One thing that I tell everybody to keep in mind with 300 blackout, right? Subsonic 300 blackout, 200-ish grain bullet going 1,000-ish feet a second. It is a 44 Magnum.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't shoot your elk.
It's not a 200 yard gun
with a 440. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep it in perspective of what that thing is and what it was designed to shoot. Extremely light-skinned things very quietly.
Yeah.
Right.
It was not designed as a elk killer.
Sure.
So
That's a good question. That's a good
coyotes and whitetails
statement.
Inside 100.
Yeah,
inside 100
because a lot of guys go out and they just think, oh, I got a 300. I can shoot anything with that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of guys don't think about that, or a lot of gals don't think about that. They just think
same thing.
They're all the same, right?
I wanted the same people the same way with 6.5 Creedmoor. Like 6.5 Creedmoor, the 6.5 bullet, in my opinion, is one of the most inherently accurate bullets that there is, right? Like it's hard to find one that doesn't shoot well, and it's low recoil, and it's relatively inexpensive, and the technology's come a long way. You're able to put those bullets on target at 600 and 800 yards really easily.
Yeah.
It's a 143 grain bullet. At 800 yards, that thing's slowed down to 1,400 feet a second, something like that.
It's just starting to.
It's a 357 Sig.
Yeah.
Would you shoot an elk with a 357 Sig?
No.
Right.
No.
But people are shooting elk all the time with them, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying you can't be done. People kill elk with them all the time.
Yeah.
But you need to be mindful that you don't have 300 Ultra Mag energy. So you need to make a really good shot.
Be a hunter, be a woodsman, try to get closer. All right. So one of the things on this Gun Talk Hunt podcast, along the lines of people getting into hunting, and kind of you guys are really like your shirt says, hunt like a warrior. So it's kind of crossing over. Sig is this known for being a little bit tactical, certainly working with the military a lot, but now we're crossing over into hunting. I think a lot of our audience is the enthusiast shooter, and certainly hunters in there, but maybe going, all right, I like guns, I like shooting, maybe I want to get into hunting. Any piece of advice? Some guy comes to you and he didn't grow up in it, but he's in his 30s or his 40s, and he's going, all right, I think I want to go hunting.
I would go find a guy that does it, and I don't know one hunter that wouldn't just welcome a new guy that just wants to get into it with open arms, man. Like I'd love nothing more. Somebody call me and like, hey man, I know nothing about hunting. Would you mind showing me something? Come on, brother. Let's find you some camo that fits and let's get out there.
Right.
It'd be awesome.
Hunters all have too much gear anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got an extra. I got extra. No, I don't.
Shut your
Why
mouth.
are you talking to me?
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Don't tell my wife that.
Yeah. Jeez, you ruined this.
So if you're interested in getting into hunting, you probably have a coworker or a buddy or somebody who hunts. Ask them. Ask them to go.
And then let's say you don't, where do you start? And I actually got this question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Start with your state wildlife agencies. Find areas that are open to the public, because there are public hunting areas that folks can go to, hunt all they want. But you know what? Before you go out and just start hunting, check your regulations.
Absolutely.
Call the game warden of that area. He's going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have not met one. And they get a bad rap. That's a whole nother game.
That's an interesting idea of people probably don't think of, like, let me find a local game warden that I can call. Yeah. And you're right. He's out there.
He's out there.
It's
crazy.
I wanted to go duck hunting up Iowa, South Dakota. Couldn't find anything. Found the game warden. I called the guy and was like, hey man, just looking for a little information. This is my background as far as, like, I hunted in Virginia and I hunt in Georgia, but I don't know anything about this area. That guy told me everything that I needed to know and where to go.
Yeah.
He's like, I know where the ducks
that's
are.
how
He
they
did.
all are.
Yeah, he helped me out. He was right. We showed up. I dropped the pin on Onyx right then when I was on the phone with him. Like, every spot he said, I dropped the pin.
Ding, ding, ding.
And we showed up and hit those spots scouting. And went and hunted.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
See, I'm telling you, game wardens are underutilized and people are scared to death of them.
Right.
Well, if you're all legal, you ain't got a problem.
Well, probably for the most part, game wardens are enthusiast hunters, outdoorsmen anyway,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they're doing that job.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, thanks for being on Gun Talk Hunt with us today, man.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all letting me come hang out.
If you're interested in, all this gear we're talking about, one of the little things that we have is the Gundealio app. It's a free smartphone app. Download Gundealio, App Store, or for your Android, go to gundealio.com. You can click the link and download. Also sign up for the Gun Talk newsletter. Sometimes we have good content there.
Most of the time. Most of the time, it's always good content and plus, that's where we run a lot of deals on. There's companies out there, you don't have time to go sit and search the web we're doing it for you.
Well, also, I know guns and ammo and scopes and stuff are scarce. We're finding stuff and putting the word out. So thanks for listening to Gun Talk Hunt. We'll see you next time.